Most people think boundaries get broken in big, dramatic moments. They don't. They get broken in the small moments you're expected to excuse. The tiny pressures, the quiet jokes, the subtle expectation to be easygoing, to be flexible, to not make things awkward. Boundary testing rarely starts with outright disrespect. It starts with something small you're expected to tolerate. This is boundary testing. It's a quiet, low-risk behavior that checks what you'll allow. People use it to measure your self-respect, your confidence, and your level of compliance. Some people do it consciously. Others do it because it's the only way they've learned to get what they want. Either way, the effect is the same. It reveals exactly what you'll put up with. And why does this matter? Because boundary testing is how unhealthy power dynamics begin. It's how the pattern of people-pleasing gets exploited, locking you into a cycle of compliance that slowly erodes your self-worth. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 subtle tests people use, how they show up in real life, and what you can say back calmly without turning it into a fight. First is the small favor that isn't really small at all. This is the classic test of your availability and your willingness to drop everything for someone else's needs. The pattern is predictable. It starts with a simple request, often framed as urgent or trivial. Can you just do this quick thing for me? Or, could you just have a quick look at this? But soon, it becomes a habit. The requests come in repeatedly, almost always at the last minute, with the unspoken expectation that you'll say yes. It's designed to see if your time is as valuable as theirs. The calm response is not to argue or list your own tasks. It's to set a clear, logistical limit. Simply say, I can't do that today. If you need help with this in the future, please ask earlier. This communicates that you are willing to help, but only on terms that respect your time. The second test is the casual interruption. This is a subtle but powerful way to assert dominance in a conversation by implicitly stating that what they have to say is more important than what you are saying. It happens when you're in the middle of a sentence and they just start talking over you. They cut you off, pivot the conversation, and if you try to reclaim your turn, they might act as if you're being overly sensitive or aggressive. It's a quiet power play designed to make you feel small and hesitant to speak up. The response here is direct and immediate, but it doesn't need to be aggressive. Don't let the moment pass. Pause, look at them, and say firmly, hold on, I wasn't finished. Then, without waiting for permission, calmly continue with your point. You are not asking for your turn back. You are taking it. Third is the joke that is actually a dig. This is one of the most insidious forms of boundary testing because it uses humor as a shield for criticism or disrespect. These are the insults disguised as banter, the backhanded compliments, the sarcastic comments about your personality, your choices, or your appearance. When you react, you're immediately accused of not being able to take a joke. Relax, it's just banter, they'll say, putting the blame on you for being too serious. This tactic is designed to see if you will tolerate being subtly belittled. Do not get into a debate about whether it was funny. Humor is subjective, but your feelings are not up for discussion. A powerful and non-confrontational response is to state flatly, I'm not available for that kind of joke. It's a simple declaration of fact. It ends the conversation and signals that this line of humor is a dead end with you. Test number 4, the last-minute change to plans. This is a test of your flexibility and your willingness to adapt to someone else's chaos or convenience. They consistently shift timings, change locations, or alter the core expectations of an arrangement right before it's meant to happen. The underlying message is that their schedule is the default, and yours is expected to be accommodating. It forces you into a reactive position, constantly adjusting to their whims. Instead of scrambling to adapt or showing your frustration, simply state the consequence. That doesn't work for me now. We can do it another time. This response isn't an attack. It's a statement of your reality. It shows that your plans have integrity and you are not willing to abandon them at a moment's notice. Fifth, we have the guilt nudge. This is an emotional test designed to see if your decisions can be swayed by a sense of obligation or shame. It often appears after you've already said no to something. You'll hear phrases like, "But after everything I've done for you," or the classic, "I just thought you cared more than that." It's a direct appeal to your empathy, framed in a way that makes your boundary feel like a personal rejection or an act of betrayal. The goal is to make you feel so bad about holding your line that you give in. The key here is to acknowledge their feeling without absorbing their guilt. You can say, "I hear that you're disappointed, and my answer is still no." This validates their emotion, but separates it from your decision. You are showing that you can hold empathy for them while still holding your boundary for yourself. The sixth test is the silent punishment. This is a passive-aggressive test to see if you will become anxious and chase their approval when they withdraw it. When you don't comply with a request or you set a boundary they don't like, they respond with coldness. They become distant, give you the silent treatment, or take hours to reply to a simple message. This withdrawal is a quiet form of punishment designed to create anxiety and make you question if you did something wrong. It's a way of training you to associate setting boundaries with the pain of disconnection. The most effective response is to do nothing. Do not chase. Do not apologize. Do not ask what's wrong. You simply carry on. If and when they re-engage, you can say, "I'm happy to talk when the conversation is respectful. I won't chase for a response." This shows them that their silence is a tool that has no power over you. And finally, the seventh test, the boundary negotiation. This happens after you've clearly stated a limit and they tried to bargain with it. You say, "I can't stay late tonight," and they respond, "Okay, but what about just for 30 minutes? You say, "I don't lend money," and they counter with, "I understand, but just this once." This isn't a respectful discussion. It's an attempt to prove that your boundaries are not firm. They are testing to see if your no is really a maybe. Your response must be as firm and final as the boundary itself. There is no need for further explanation. Simply say, "No, that boundary isn't up for negotiation." This shuts down the conversation and establishes that your limits are declarations, not invitations to a debate. Over time, constant boundary testing does something profound to your mind. It trains your nervous system to expect a social consequence for acts of self-respect. You start to feel anxious just thinking about saying no. It also creates a deep sense of self-doubt. You begin to ask yourself, "Am I overreacting? Am I being too difficult?" This internal questioning is exactly what the tester wants. It makes it easier for you to second-guess yourself and ultimately comply. This is how you become locked into a pattern of compliance, which eventually curdles into resentment. You resent them for asking, and you resent yourself for agreeing. So a quick recap of the 7 tests: the small favor, the casual interruption, the joke that's a dig, the last-minute change, the guilt nudge, the silent punishment, and the boundary negotiation. Recognizing these is the first step toward reclaiming your power. If this has been helpful, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment boundaries below if you'd like a part 2 on how to hold your limits firmly without feeling guilt or creating unnecessary conflict.